Hello and welcome back to my channel. You're watching What Helen Reads and I'm Helen, and today I have got another Mafia Romance Monday for you, and today it's all about the men. So here are my favourite Mafia heroes from some of my favourite Mafia romances. So first up, I want to give a shout out to Luca from Bound by Honour by Cora, Reilly. And this is book 1 in her Born in Blood series. Now this one had been on my TBR for ages and I finally got to read it at the start of this year. I'd read quite a lot of Mafia books prior to reading this one, and Cora Reilly had been on my TBR for a long time. I know that her first and second series are really popular, and so I was very interested to get to this one. Now this one is a more traditional style of Mafia romance where they are very strict rules and traditions surrounding the male and female roles within the Mafia and what's expected particularly of the women. Now the hero in this one is Luca, and he is known as the Vice, and he is known to be very, very ruthless and dangerous and unyielding, and probably a little bit like he's got a heart of ice. He is the head of the New York Cosa Nostra, and so he sort of heads up the family in New York. Now he is arranged in marriage to our heroine Aria, and she is a Mafia princess from a Mafia family in Chicago, and she's arranged in marriage to Luca. Now she knows from a fairly early age that she's going to have to marry him, and she's kind of resigned to the fact that she will have to have an arranged marriage and this is going to be her husband. But she is extremely nervous to marry Luca because of his reputation. So why is Luca on my list? Well, Luca is on my list because he was extremely, he lived up to his name basically. He was indeed the Vice. He was very cold and controlling and possessive and obsessive, and he's a very, very dangerous Mafia man. Obviously he's head of the Cosa Nostra family. However, with Aria, he was perfect. I have read a lot of Mafia romances where the heroes are very, very forceful. There's some dub-con, non-con going on, particularly when they first get married. But with Luca, he definitely is very attracted to his new wife Aria, but he doesn't want to force himself upon her, and he wants to make sure that she is a willing participant. Now, they have a bit of an issue because in the Italian Mafia, in this particular scenario, the women in the family should be virgins when they marry, and to prove this they have to obviously consummate their marriage on the wedding night, and then they display the sheets the following morning to the family, and obviously there should be blood on the sheets to prove that the new bride is in fact a virgin, and that will be kind of like shown to all the males in the family. Now this is very obviously an archaic tradition, but it's supposed to happen. So Aria on their wedding night is very, very scared about what's going to happen, and she's not necessarily ready to lose her virginity to Luca, and Luca spots this straight away and he says, look, I'm not going to force you, and in fact then stages blood on the sheets to be displayed in the morning to kind of protect her virtue, if you like, but also make sure that he doesn't force himself on his new wife and that eventually she'll come around to him. So this is really what sets Luca apart for me. He is very caring and considerate of his new bride. He doesn't have to be, he's not in love with her at this point, but he has morals and he's not prepared to cross them. So he's not perfect, he does make mistakes in this book, but I think ultimately he comes to love Aria and will do anything to protect her and protect the rest of the family. And she actually, throughout the series, she does break his trust on more than one occasion, and each time he forgives her and takes her back. So I think Luca is, you know, if you're going to have to marry the head of the Mafia family, then Luca probably isn't the worst choice that you can make. So Luca definitely impressed me in that situation. So the next one I want to pick out, and probably my favourite Mafia hero, is Maxim from Ruthless Creatures by Maggie Cole. Now, I've spoken about this book quite a few times, particularly in this, you know, Mafia Monday series, but also just generally. I absolutely love this series as a whole. There's 10 books in this series. This is book 1 in the Mafia War series. The Maxim is the eldest Ivanov brother, who is Russian, and I just absolutely loved him. It's not the best book in the series in terms of like kind of the plot and intrigue and storyline and everything that goes on, but it's my absolute favourite because I love Maxim to death, and this book completely captured me. The cliffhanger was brilliant. It made me want to continue to read a further 9 books. So what is amazing about Maxim? Well, first of all, I completely imagine this you know, cover model when I'm thinking about Maxim. I think he's spot on in terms of what I think he looks like. He is an older hero, so he's in his late 40s, which I absolutely love because, you know, I'm also in my mid 40s now, and so I kind of want to, you know, identify with my characters, and Maxim is absolutely a you know, a silver fox, definitely someone that we could go for. He is the eldest brother, so he has a lot of responsibility on his shoulders, but he is super sexy, super hot, knows how to look after his woman. And at the start of this book, he actually meets the heroine Aspen in Las Vegas. They have kind of a 2-night stand together. The whole time she's blindfolded, so she doesn't know what he looks like, but they have an amazing chemistry and connection between each other. And one of the reasons he doesn't want her to see him, and they don't follow up on the relationship, is because he wants to keep her protected. He doesn't want to bring her into his world because there's quite a lot going on, quite a lot of stuff that he and his brothers need to work through. So he is very much doing it from a place of caring and love and protection for Aspen. But when they bump into each other in Chicago, they both go home to Chicago, they bump into each other, and then they can't stay away from each other, and Maxim will literally kill to protect Aspen, but also he is also very vulnerable. He's done a lot of dark things in his past. He doesn't know how anyone can love him for what he's done, and when he tells Aspen his truth about what's happened to him, and who he is and the kind of man he is, he absolutely expects her to walk away, but she doesn't. And you know, I just love the fact that he is so possessive and will do anything for Aspen, literally kill people, but he is prepared to let her go to ensure that she's protected, and also that he comes across so masculine and, you know, sexy and confident, yet inside he is doesn't feel that he deserves the love of a good woman, which of course he absolutely does. And you know, I'm glad that he got his happy ever after. So then the next one I want to mention is Nikolas, and he is from Taken by a Sinner by Michelle Hurd. Again, I've spoken about Nikolas on several occasions. It's book 1 in her Sinner series, and while probably not everyone's favourite hero, I absolutely love him just because of the level of his intensity. So he comes across as very, you know, possessive and controlling and dominant, and a little bit vicious in some instances, and he instantly has an attraction for the heroine in this book. He absolutely wants to be with her, but he doesn't want to show it, so he kind of you know, is deliberately kind of like mean to her to start off with. But when he sets her up in an arranged marriage with his cousin, and the date of the wedding gets closer, he realises that he can't let his cousin marry her because he's falling in love with her for himself, and basically steps up. So I think this is a brilliant hero because he absolutely falls first for this woman. He absolutely has to be with her, basically you know, steps in to marry her because he's so sure about how he feels about her, and that he just absolutely has to keep her for himself. Like I say, he's super intense, and I really, really like that about my heroes, in their level of intensity towards the heroines and the lengths they'll go to, not only to get the woman that they love, but to keep them and to keep them protected as well. So then we have, of course, Kage from Ruthless Creatures. Now, again, this is one of my favourites in this series. I know many people prefer book 2 and Daddy Declan is their favourite hero, but I absolutely love Kage. I don't know what it is, but I think I've got a very big soft spot for the Russian Mafia heroes. Again, it's Kage's sort of intensity, his sort of like darkness, his simmering violence underneath, but also the lengths that he'll go to for the woman that he loves. So in this one, Kage is sort of second in command in the Russian Mafia, and his boss is currently in prison. So he's kind of running the show, but he's also sort of the enforcer, the person that goes after people and maybe tortures them, kills them if they've done something wrong against the Mafia. Now, the heroine in this one, Natalie, her fiance has stolen quite a lot of money from the Mafia, and they are trying to track him down and get the money back. But she believes that her fiance is dead, and it's 5 years on, and she's still mourning the death of her fiance. Now, Kage suddenly comes on the scene. He is dark and brooding and very masculine, and he kind of like you know, absolutely comes into her path, and she can't get away from him. He becomes her neighbour. They have several meetings with each other, but instantly he is super attracted to her, can't bring himself to torture and kill her to find out what's going on with the fiance, and instead starts a relationship with her. Now, this is a hero that will absolutely do anything for the woman that he loves, including killing his boss and taking over the Mafia to make sure that she's kept safe. He's totally gone for her, and he even follows her to South America when she kind of figures out what's going on, and she goes after her ex-fiance. So again, yeah, I think the reason I love this hero so much is just his dark broodiness, the danger that surrounds him, but also how protective he is of the heroine and how far he'll go in order to keep her safe and ultimately get her for himself. So then another one that I wanted to bring up is Finn, and Finn is the final hero from the Mafia War series by Maggie. This is our relentless hunter, and I've included Finn in this one because, again, he's an older hero. He's in his 50s, and he has been to prison. He went to prison to protect the woman that he loves, and he's been in prison for 20 years. And he is now out of prison, and he is searching for his the love of his life, Brenna, because when he went to prison for murder, she disappeared, and he has been searching for her ever since. So why I love this hero so much is because of his absolute devotion to the love of his life. He fell in love, and he fell in love so deeply that 20 years later he's been pining for her, waiting for her, looking for her, and ultimately he finds her, tracks her down, and makes sure that they're together. And it means losing out on quite a lot of his life, obviously, because he has gone to prison for a crime he didn't commit in order to keep her protected and safe, and he would do that 10 times over for the woman that he loves. So an absolutely brilliant book all round. It wraps up the series brilliantly, but I think Finn's perseverance, dedication, his relentlessness, so the title is very correct, The Relentless Hunter, makes him an absolutely fantastic hero and completely loyal to the woman that he loves, and who wouldn't want that for a boyfriend? So another hero I wanted to mention was Reaper, and he is a hero from the Boston Underworld series by A Zavarelli. Now, Reaper is a very interesting character because he's not necessarily someone you necessarily want to be your boyfriend, but he is extremely loyal and loving to the woman that's captured his heart. So Reaper has had a very difficult childhood. He's been through a lot of trauma, and as a result he doesn't really trust people. He doesn't really develop relationships with other people, and he's also a virgin hero in this book. But he is absolutely smitten and obsessed with the heroine in this book. And 2 years prior to the start of this book, he has done something that only he and the heroine know about, and he's done it for her. And so they share this secret, and he doesn't talk about it, and neither does she. But since then, he's been watching her. And when their past comes back to bite them and they get into some danger, he is absolutely there for her to make sure that she is 100% protected. There's a scene that goes down in the club where they kind of base their operations, and yeah, that's when their kind of relationship starts. So what I love about Reaper is he is the, you know, the silent, moody type, but he's very, very watchful, very, very protective of the heroine, and ultimately will do anything for her, and has done anything for her. But again, he is, because he's very, very troubled, he's had a very traumatic life, he, you know, struggles to develop a relationship with the heroine in this one. He doesn't really know how to be a boyfriend, how they can be together, doesn't understand kind of, you know, affection and things like that. So she very much, you know, takes him. He's kind of like, although he's this, he's called the Reaper because basically he's the torturer for this mafia. Everyone's scared of him. He can go into this zone where he's extremely violent and torture people all day long and all night. But with her, he is super gentle and caring, and he's also a bit, you know, he needs a lot of, he's like a wild, injured animal, and she needs to kind of really like take care of him, but in a very kind of gentle and caring way. And so I love that about Reaper, and the kind of the journey that his character goes on, and you know how and where he starts in this book and kind of where he ends up. So yeah, would highly recommend Reaper by A Zavarelli. And then finally, I couldn't do my favourite mafia men without talking about Kane Bishop. So this is not strictly a mafia romance, it's more criminal underworld, but Kane is probably, well, this book was my favourite book of 2021, and Kane Bishop is probably one of my favourite heroes of all time. He is my ultimate book boyfriend, and I love this one because he is the sort of enforcer for a criminal underworld boss. It's sort of set in a small town. The heroine in this one is Jess, and she is training to be a lawyer, and she is on the case. Now they're trying to bring down Kane Bishop to get some dirt on him so that they can arrest him and prosecute him, and also bring down his kind of boss and the criminal activities that they're doing kind of in this town. And Kane Bishop knows he's a bad person, and he'll do anything to protect the heroine in this one, but who will protect her from him is kind of the strap line. So he will protect her from his world, but who will protect her from him? Well, Kane Bishop attempts to protect her in all ways. So the very opening chapter of this book is when Jess, the heroine, gets herself into a bit of trouble down a dark alleyway. She is potentially going to be raped and killed, and Kane Bishop is in the same alley. He is waiting for a drug deal to go down, but sees this assault taking place, and he knows that he shouldn't get involved. He should just carry on with his business, sort out the drug deal, but he cannot help himself, and he steps in. But not only does he step in, he doesn't just rescue Jess, he offers her the chance to get revenge for herself if she wants to. And following this encounter, several more encounters happen between them, and although he's a very bad person, she can't help, you know, the attraction between them is so magnetic, they can't stay away from each other. But he goes to great lengths to keep her safe from his world, including taking her to the driving range and teaching her how to defend herself and shoot guns in the you know, in case she needs to defend herself in the future. So this is a fantastic read, and like I say, I absolutely love Kane Bishop, and probably between him and Maxim, they're probably my two favourite Mafia heroes of all time. So there you have it. That's a short one from me today. It's a bit unusual. I'm usually much, you know, talk for much longer than that, but I only had a handful that I wanted to share with you today. So thank you very much for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and remember to subscribe to my channel if you want to see more content from me. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. So now, Cora, and this is book 1 in her Bound in Blood,